Hey everybody, this is a new G10 mechanical slider that I just got in the mail. We are going to take it apart, talk about it, compare it with a few others. Stick around. So if you're looking for one of these, I don't know how much luck you'll have finding them. I only found them in one place, and initially they said they had 50 available. Well, I bought one and it suddenly disappeared out of stock. They did have, or claim to have, ones just like this. It's G10, I think I said that already, G10 sort of fiberglass material. They do have it in red and black, same kind of swirly pattern. If you want to find one, just search for mechanical push card and you'll find it eventually. But it appears to have a Teflon insert, and one of the things we're going to explore here is whether or not it appears to be the same size and shape as the one that's in the PAL, the 1PAL. And I would like to take some quick measurements and find that out. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I think they're both Teflon, and it ran pretty thick. I would say it was how it felt. Gummy, not gummy, sluggish. It came with a roughly 3.5 or 3.5 millimeter ball. And a spring. That's what's on the inside. When we take it apart, you'll see. I ended up putting in just under a 3 millimeter ball. It happened to work with the spring that this came with, and it didn't fall down into the spring. In other words, the diameter wasn't so small; it didn't fall into the spring. It still worked. And I like the small ball better, but you'll hear a difference in this direction and this direction. Maybe you won't hear the difference that much, but this just seems to be much softer when coming back in this direction. This is much stiffer, clickier. I think you can probably hear the difference. And the only thing I can attest that to is possibly the fact that I'm using that smaller ball, and that the ball is somehow maybe cocked a little bit more to one side than the other, and therefore it runs a little smoother in one direction than the other direction. But what we'll do is just talk about it a little bit for any of those that just want the basics, and then after that, like usual, I'll take it apart. We'll do the talking and the comparisons and the weights and measurements here next. So when we do take it apart, one of the things we'll do is switch out that smaller, nearly 3 millimeter ball and put back in the 3.5 millimeter ball, just to do that for fun. But it's G10, so it's different than PEI, or also known as Ultim. Usually the clear, this stuff, Ultim. It seems a little denser. When you're using Ultim, you tend to get really good loud clicks because it's a very dense material. And the G10 seems to be absorbing some of that, which is okay. It's definitely milder, it's quieter, if that's what you're seeking. I know some of these things can get so loud that it really does hurt your ears. So we'll go ahead and compare it to a few things here. If you have, this is it's around $50, but that's fairly good price, I think. This is one of the closest things I have to compare it to, size-wise, and the fact that it's mechanical. Something everybody is familiar with, the CP3. Here we go with the 1PAL. Now it just so happens, when I review something, I go over to my collection and I sort of hover over everything and go, well, what's about the same size and everything, so if you have that, you can get a good idea. And it turns out that they sort of followed a pattern. If you're familiar with these, well, that's fine. If you're familiar with these guys, the pig slider, pig nose slider. I did a review about them earlier where I talked and compared about these all being interchangeable. They're the same size, the grooves are the same on the inside. Now these three are magnetic, totally different. But if you happen to have one of these, you can at least know that it's basically the same size. So there you go. Let's go with weights and measurements next. All right. The calipers say 25 millimeters, 12 millimeters, 45 millimeters. Just over 25 grams. How does that compare with this? Ooh, that's very light, 17. Well, those are metal. They wouldn't make a good comparison. So again, just over 25 grams. So, my overall thoughts, I haven't had it for very long, so I don't know if it's going to wear in a little bit more. And like I said, with that smaller ball in there, it could be the fact that it's cocked sideways, that it seems to sound or perform better in one direction than in the other direction, which is fine. I would prefer that it felt the same in both directions, though, because then I would know that it was wearing evenly, because I worry about stupid shit like that. Anyhow, if this seems like it's up your alley, G10 is the material. Hopefully there'll be more of these being made available at some point in time. I like it. I like it. And if you want to, please stick around and we will explore the internals next. Okay, now for the fun part of the program. This is where we tear everything apart. I do want to just do a quick check. Maybe instead of completely disassembling both of these, I could just do a quick rough measurement. That's 10 millimeters right on the nose. 10 millimeters right on the nose. If I can get the tips in there, I might be able to get that inside groove. Maybe about 8. Yeah, it looks about the same. Width, or length, I mean, this is going to be fairly rough too, but that's at 46. And I forget what we measured this at. 45. Now, could that be... Is it sunken in or is it flush? It seems flush. So if this is overall 45, this seems flush too. And that's definitely 46. So I'd say this one's longer. In fact, we could even try sliding them together here. Should work. Oh, that works. Not too much slop. So they're very similar, not familiar. They're very similar in shape, which could mean they came from the same company. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I might ask the guy that sold it to me. Although I get the impression, like I said, he had like 4 unusual sliders. A brass or copper version of this with a Teflon insert in the middle, which was interesting. But I figure soft metals like brass and copper with haptics or springs and balls, I'm not going to go there, I don't think. Like I'm looking into getting a top C. Is it the top C, the round coin slider? I've been really thinking about that for a long time, and now I've gotten something similar to that recently that's made me decide that I'm going to get a top C for sure. And I'm going to buy it in stainless steel because that's what I usually choose. It holds up better. It takes a fall better. But of course, they have it in brass, and I think that's the softest metal that they have it in. But I would be concerned with the springs and the ball over time that brass might be a little too soft for friction like that. So yeah, stainless is what I would stick with. So the guy that sold this, as I was saying, he had advertised it as there was 50 available, and then I bought it, and all of a sudden they were out of stock. That's the same thing for all the 3 or 4 different unusual models that he has. He says he's got 50, but I'll bet he only has 1. It was sealed. I mean, it was heat sealed, but then again, you can't generally trust that anymore. it could still be used. But I think when this came and I looked at it, there's no signs of wear on it. It was in good shape. I would buy from this guy again. So yeah, let's go ahead and take this thing apart. Okay, well this is going to be a lot like taking apart the 1-PAL. So what you just want to do is, in this case, this one uses 1/16. Oh, sorry, it does use 1/16 size hex bit on the inside. I'll show you that in a minute. There's two little studs that ride down in these two grooves, and they're a little bit smaller. They're 16th. This is 5/64. Get it in there good. Again, it's plastic, so try to be gentle. You really don't want to cross thread anything by accident, and that's mostly when we're putting it back together again. But okay, here we go. Put those off to the side, line everything back up again, and then all you have to do is lift the two pieces apart. And there you have the insides. So you see two metal set screws on the left. Whoops, almost lost my ball and spring. And on the right side, there's the ball rolling around. And yeah, let's get this spring back before we lose it in the ball. Yeah, so that is a, let me get my digital calipers here. I had a bunch of these. They're not, they're 2.87. They're not 3mm, but you could round up and call them 3mm. I'm using that. The spring, not that it matters much, but it measures in at about 8. That's not right. See, these calipers are crap. Harbor Freight. The quality is undeniable. Just under 3mm. That makes sense. And we're going to put it back together. When we do, we will put it back together with the 3.5mm ball that it came with. But now that it's apart, we can at least look and see and have a closer look at it. I'd say that's definitely Teflon. I've handled enough Teflon now with these that I feel like you can feel it. It is slipperier than normal plastic. So that just glides free in there. There's the detents. Let's make sure I can get that focused. And isn't that G10 material pretty? That's really something else. I love the orange. I wish there was more orange on the outside. I think there might be more orange on the inside. But get a closer look at this side. A little recessed area there for the spring. I was really hoping they didn't have great photos of this. I was hoping that it would come with a ball plunger rather than a ball and spring. But that's fine. One of the things I've considered possibly doing is drilling this hole out. I wouldn't have to worry about that, and I wouldn't have to worry about the detents or anything. Take this out separately. Because right now, like I said, a 3.5mm ball came with this, and that's all that fits in there. That's the maximum size, diameter. And I have lots of 4mm balls. All I'd have to do is drill that out just a little bit, and then I could try it with, any choice of material. And 4mm, I've got everything. Probably like most of you guys do. Just, what do you have? Nylon, silicone nitride, zirconium. Those are both ceramic. And then stainless steel. And I think that might be it. But at least I could try all those on here. The one that came with this is a steel ball, and I replaced it with silicone nitride. But like I said, we're going to put the other ball back in and see how that works. Okay, I have here in my hand a 3.5mm ball. It's actually, let's check it here quick, 3.4 something? About 3.44. That's the one that came with it. Now I'll put the spring back in this portion here, stand it up straight, put the ball on top of the spring. Well, looks like it's magnetically attracted to the spring. There we go. Then you put the Teflon insert back in, line it up so it's in the middle. We want to get that ball, excuse me. I'm going to get my tweezers. Okay, there we go. Once again, we want to line up in the insert with the top, so, because, well, it doesn't matter, just we want to line it up. And we bring it over directly over the top, drop it down on, squeeze it together. Now you can carefully move the top part off to the side. I brought this up before about the 1-pal. At this stage, you don't want that Teflon insert to slide back and forth, because it'll sort of guillotine your spring. It won't cut it in half, but it'll catch it and bend it. The spring, you have to remember, the spring is now passing through a hole in the middle of this Teflon, and then into a blind hole right here in the middle, partway down in this G10 material. So the spring is halfway in both materials, and it's not meant, if this slides right now, again, the spring's going to be bent. So let's get this little ball out of the way. We'll put the screws back. And I know I've said it too many times, but try to travel backwards or counterclockwise until you feel a little bit of a click, and then you'll know you're in the thread, and then you can put this back in. Again, we're screwing into basically plastic. It's G10, but still plastic, so I don't want to overdo it. As long as it's snug, that's good. You should check it periodically, maybe make sure it's not vibrating loose. As long as the screw is below the surface of this Teflon plate, you're golden. So now we have the bigger ball in there. The clicks are not nearly as well defined. But then that could change with time, with wear. At least it feels about the same in both directions now. And I almost favor that over putting the 3.5mm ball in there, because like I said, it might be cocked a little bit. It might wear one side a little unevenly than the other side, which is kind of silly, but that's me. I might try it like this for a while and just see how it wears in. And like I said, I might try to drill out the hole in the middle of this Teflon big enough to accept a 4mm ball, because I've got all those different sizes. And if I do that, we'll do another quick little update video on this. But, you know, I think that's about all that I have to say about it. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and I'd be happy to try and answer them. Thanks for watching. Bye.